Alan vs Leon was little more than a fart in the wind, and Lance vs Diantha was a dignified, if somewhat reserved duel. But Iris vs Cynthia has turned out to be an absolute sizzler. So let's talk about the first Masters 8 match to really pop off. Hey everyone, it's Charles. How are you today? Over the past month of the Pokemon Journey's Masters 8 tournament, Alan got folded up like a cheap lawn chair by the Purple Plop Panther, and Birdcatcher Lance fell to Legs McGee in a battle that was respectable but simply didn't have a lot of historic significance or really any hype behind it. But at last, Pokemon Journey's episode 116 has married quality battle magic with fanbase passion to kick the Masters 8 into high gear. Indeed, in the third opening round of the tournament, Unova champion, Dragon Master, and professional hug monster Iris took on Sinnoh champion, archaeologist, and professional internet waifu Cynthia to duke it out for a ticket to the Masters 8 semifinals in a battle hotter than a Heatran's armpits. So today's plan is to frame the Cynthia vs Iris match's significance in the context of the broader Pokemon anime, to break down the key points of the battle, and as always, it is going to be a dandy-do. So subscribe, because not subscribing would leave you feeling broken and empty, and let's jump right in. One could argue that an Iris vs de facto Dragon Master Lance battle, wherein Iris gives the G-Man a whack to the back of the knees, may have been more meaningful in the context of her Dragon Master narrative, but Iris vs Cynthia is also a fantastic matchup for two reasons. One, we all know that Sinnoh's matronly waifu is the real Dragon Master of the Pokemon universe, and two, the history of Iris and Cynthia's relationship is both rich and meaningful. To the first point, Cynthia's Garchimp has long been portrayed as the most powerful trained dragon in the show. Not to mention that the addition of Como-O to Cynthia's team gives her just as many dragons as Lance has ever had in the anime. To the second point, Cynthia and Iris first came into contact in the anime nearly 10 years and 3 weeks prior to the airing of Pokemon Journey's episode 116, way back in the 85th episode of the Black and White saga. And for all the flack it gets, Black and White was probably the one series that really nailed its returning character cameos. Dawn returned for a fantastic 9-episode streak, and Cynthia came back for even more. Not only getting Ash and friends into the Pokemon Junior World Cup, a tremendous growth opportunity for Iris and the others, but perhaps most importantly, coaching Iris on how she needed to build trust with her Dragonite before it would follow her commands in battle. Iris took Cynthia's words to heart, and was eventually able to earn Dragonite's respect by shielding it from drunk Uncle Lakitu's beatdown during the Unova survival crisis. At long last, earning the respect of a friend who would help lift her all the way to the Unova Championship title. Moreover, given Cynthia's fame as a dragon user, Iris idolized Cynthia from before they had even met and was over the moon when they finally did, soon challenging Cynthia to a battle in which Axew put up enough of a fight to impress Cynthia, who encouraged Iris to continue on her road to dragon mastery and thereafter provided valuable guidance. Like any badass mentor, Cynthia was practically invincible compared to Ash, Paul, Iris, etc. within the Diamond and Pearl to Black and White stretch of the anime. So seeing Iris hold her own against a teacher who was once leagues upon Pokemon leagues above her in terms of skill has served as a real testament to her growth. But without further ado, let's break down the match cards and get to the battle. The match card was fairly predictable, but interesting nevertheless. On the Unova side, Iris brought Dragonite, the snarly beast with the chin, Haxorus, the hair-loving Tamagotchi thing turned powerhouse, and Excadrill, the trustworthy childhood friend. Representing Sinnoh, Cynthia unleashed Gastrodon, that bad gal who pressed game over on Aaron's Beautifly back in Diamond and Pearl, Milotic, a fresh face to the anime, and of course, Garchomp, the ace of aces. On one hand, I would have loved to see Iris drop something crazy and unexpected like Mega Salamence, but the 3 Pokemon in Iris's corner of the ring are virtually indispensable given their significance in her story. That said, at the very least, the type effectiveness math for what it is in the anime appears to be stacked in Cynthia's favor, as her girls can pepper Iris's team with super effective moves like Stone Edge and Garchomp's hard-hitting Dragon type and Ground type moves, whereas Iris's Dragonite can hit Milotic with Thunder Punch and Garchomp for 4 times weakness with Ice Punch, but nobody on the team has any outs with which to get the edge on Gastrodon. And in terms of battle gimmicks, Cynthia's gimmick was revealed weeks in advance of the matchup, Mega Evolution, to be used with Gabriella Garchomsky as expected. But unlike the rest of the M8 roster, which of the 3 big battle mechanics Iris would be bringing to the table, or if she would be bringing one at all, was kept under wraps. We knew that she did not have a Mega Evolution capable contender in the big 3, but a Dynamaxed Haxorus would be a real brute to contend with, and Excadrill decked out with a Z-move like Corkscrew Crash or Tectonic Rage could hit like a freight train. Of course, Iris does have her own unique gimmick in the form of her special bond with Dragon-type Pokemon that appears to be Aura-like in nature, an ability that even pushed Ash's Dragonite to learn Draco Meteor. And she can make her hand glow. And that is pretty cool. But much like Aura Bond plus Gmax Aura Sphere plus Triple Trick Ketchum, it seems like common sense for Iris to maximize her potential by rolling out one of the big 3 mechanics in addition to Dragon Bond. So what exactly did she end up doing? Let's dig into the match itself to find out. The battle opens where episode 116 left off, with Excadrill staring down Gastrodon. And it's a good thing that Earthquake is off limits in the anime these days, or Mr. Rossetti could have easily been detonated in a single move. That said, Cynthia's Gastrodon leads with Rain Dance, a move that Water-weak Excadrill is not happy to see. And as the two fly into it with everything they've got, Iris calls out to Cynthia that she followed her mentor's advice in their battle years ago, and now, having grown up to become the champion of Unova, will defeat Cynthia to move to the semi-finals. But Cynthia replies that when the two of them stand here together, they stand as Pokemon trainers, as challengers shooting for the top, and that she will not go easy on Iris. Rather, that in order to test her own potential, she will beat Iris and ascend to the summit before her. However, this Iris is not the Iris she knew before, and Iris responds by having Excadrill pierce through both Muddy Water and Acid Armor to knock Gastrodon out with Horndrill. Horndrill? Now that's one for the books, baby. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time we've ever seen one of Cynthia's Pokemon knocked out, making this an absolute landmark moment in the anime. But Cynthia is unfazed, calling on Miraculous Milotic to Hydro Pump Excadrill all the way to Wednesday in an ominous counter-strike that sent a message back to Iris. And the message was clear. Next up is Iris's Dragonite, the mean machine with a serious chin and a move for just about every situation. Iris's Dragonite smacks Milotic with Thunder Punch again and again and again, but to no avail. That thing is just built different. Brushing off the blows, Milotic cracks Dragonite for weakness with Disarming Voice, then locks it up in a stranglehold before banging it out for the count with Iron Head. They just don't build Dragonites like they used to. But then, Iris's ace hits the pitch, blocks Disarming Voice with Psycho Cutter, and kicks straight through Hydro Pump to crater Milotic with a breaking swipe right to the neck. What a cracker. And then the final confrontation is upon us, Haxorus versus Garchomp. This matchup is of particular significance given how Garchomp chomped down on Axew back in Black and White in the fateful clash that inspired Iris and Axew to climb to new heights. I have to say that I was a little bit worried about how this ace versus ace confrontation might play out after seeing Alon's supposedly super strong Mega Charizard X get slapped from Singapore to South Sudan just a month prior. But what we got did justice to both aces and both trainers. That is, a battle in which the Ace of Aces displays its overwhelming power, in which Haxorus cuts through Garchomp's attacks to take on the Dragon of Legend in an all-out close quarters melee, and a battle in which Cynthia realizes just how powerful Iris has become, and rather than taking her lightly, plays the trump card we had all been waiting for, Mega Evolving her Garchomp for the first time in anime history. As another clash explodes in the middle of the pitch, Iris responds in kind by connecting with Haxorus via their Dragon Bond to fire it up for a big finale, in which Mega Garchomp's Draco Meteor and Haxorus's Dragon Pulse collide, engulfing the stadium in an explosion of light and smoke that seems to last for eternity. And when the dust clears, both Pokemon are still standing, until Haxorus finally collapses, unable to battle, and Iris rushes to his side, holding her friend dearly and telling him how much she loves all three of the friends who fought by her side this day, as Cynthia walks over to thank her for a truly incredible battle. There's also this really tender moment at the conclusion of the episode wherein Iris is trying to keep her chin up, but bursts into tears when Ash comes to speak with her. It melted my heart, and it will probably melt yours too. And with that, what was easily the best match of the Masters 8 thus far drew to a close. Iris most certainly would have benefited from sneaking a Z move, or even Dynamax into the mix, as much as I personally dislike what that mechanic does to the pacing of battles, but the strength of her Dragon Bond is something special in itself. Something with real, wholesome heartfulness to it, and I loved how it was portrayed once again in this episode. It was a heck of a match, it delivered a huge payoff for fans who have followed Iris's entire journey, and I cannot wait to see what comes next. And over the course of the match, it was also fantastic to see Iris absolutely absolutely dead set on finding a way to the W against one of the most intimidating opponents in the world. And while it makes sense for semi-finalist aces to be portrayed as untouchable in the opening rounds, the writers did Haxorus justice by having it dunk on Milotic with an incredible show of force and still put up a heck of a fight against Cynthia's Garchomp, even pushing Cynthia to reveal her trump card. Of course, before this thing even started, we knew that Cynthia was going to win, but what a match. And while Cynthia, the queen, was a force to behold as always, from my perspective, it was without a doubt Iris who stole the show. She was the clear-cut underdog, but she delivered big, and unlike the 6 trainers of the Masters 8 who were already powerhouses when they entered the anime, Iris is just like Ash, a flawed character who we followed for years as she gradually built herself up into someone worth talking about. It has been a pleasure seeing her and Ash come up together in the Masters 8 as 2 friends with a long history, and as 2 newly minted champions with nothing but fire in their hearts. Anyways, it is ice cream time.